This is Eve with Rose Apple Sage. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting me with your donations, your patronage, and I am blessed to be part of this journey with you and to seek better awareness through the experiences of our higher knowing, the whispers that are carried through our meditations, the divine intuitive that we are, and all that is coming forward in our realities subconsciously and consciously. And I am just going to continue to express my observation and my understandings as we go through this life together, side by side, hand in hand. Thank you, and enjoy this podcast about balance. What I want to say is that we live in a place of sometimes this balance of the working world and the spiritual world. And as we come into these places of enlightenment or awareness of our soul being is connected to the universe and the God source, and we get all excited and connected, as I'm sure if you're listening to this, you have probably some connection to source or some connection to the understanding that you are God incarnate. You are a aspect of the creator, and this power that we all have is charged when you have awareness and acceptance of that charge, of that knowing that we are part of God, we are part of the universe, and that it's not that we are separate or needing other humans to complete us. It's knowing that your source, your soul, your consciousness and subconscious is literally the light of God. It's the word of God. It's the vibrations that exist from creation. And a couple weeks ago, I had this message that came in really strong, and it was an aha moment. And I was really excited to understand something. And I kept seeing in my waking was this snake eating its tail. And I knew that there was some symbolisms because I kept asking for clarity. And they reminded me of what the Thoth Tarot card is with the snake. And it's on the cover. It's actually the Two of Discs. And it's a snake eating its tail, but it's a figure 8 with two yin yang. Now we're going to the balance again. Two yin yang discs that are rotating in different directions. One's going this way and one's going this way. And it's the spinning and the movement, but it's of a snake with its crown on. And on that card, it's really representing change. The card is literally change. And in that change of creation, it's infinite. And it's coming from a higher source. The crown is representing the place that it's coming from, which is our higher self, which is the connection to God. And that in all things, not just you or me or somebody else or one thing, all creation is constantly in movement in opposite directions, in black and white, in balance and formation. So when we look at the world and we see the bad guy and the good guy, or the darkness and the light, it's necessary. It's in alignment. It has to be that way in order to find cause and resolution, to have experiences and have the motivation to move past that. If there was only light and there was no dark, there'd be no contrast. There'd be no story. There'd be no experience. If we're here in the 3D realm, in school, to operate this body with source and experience it, then the yin yang of Earth is showing us that constant movement and awareness of dualities. And that awareness of dualities should be observed in all aspects of us. And so the snake eating its tail and the figure 8 was great, but I was questioning that same like the inner turmoil is causing me to need or to want the change to come out of that and go into this and out of that. And if I'm shaming myself along that pathway that is infinitely going, and I'm saying, oh, I shouldn't go there because people judge me when I make changes, or people aren't going to accept me if I have a changed perspective, or I need to move in another direction. But honestly, we're all moving, and that's what's so great about this life, is allowing yourself to experience new things and to change and to go with the flow. And it's not that it needs to be bumpy or it needs to be erratic. I feel like the erratic changes come when we get clogged in that moment and we're like, no, 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 I don't want to. But you're literally going to have to move with it because that energy is constantly going. But the resistance to the change of that movement is where we're getting stuck. Then it starts building and we're getting congested, and then we have to get pushed through. It's like a clogged drain. And so as this movement's happening and as we're shifting and forced, it's going to be a little bit more fast. You're going to get pushed if you're not going to just be accepting of it. So what came forward was a lesson about why the snake is eating its tail, and why that symbol of creation. And I want to say God's self, or this understanding was it was in a moment with my eyes shut, and I was listening, and I was asking from my highest good to understand. And what I understood was that we create what we consume, and we are the creators of what we're consuming, and we're going to literally continue to create what we desire to consume. And so if the snake's eating its tail, it's still moving, but it's constantly eating its creation. It's eating itself. And your creations are what you're choosing to do every day. It's what your body has to consume, the reality that you're creating. If we understand that that we are creating, and if it's a duality of self, and that's why it's creating the infinite, it may not just be circular. It's that it's actually crossing and rotating in the two different directions. And so we might have, the new moon and the full moon, or the shadow self and enlightenment. And we're constantly coming in and flipping in infinite directions. But the part that I wanted to understand was that, why do we get stuck? Why do we get stuck in that movement? Why aren't we in the flow? And it comes back to desire. It comes into, if you aren't creating a world that you desire to consume, then you're going to stop experiencing joy. You're going to want to stop going to work. You're going to want to stop giving to that person. You're going to want to stop doing that if it's not what you desire to consume. So in all of our actions, that if we're going to go to a job or we're going to have a relationship, if all of our energy is getting put into this life that we're living, and all of a sudden we look around and say, this isn't what I desire, I'm going to lose interest. I'm going to lose interest because this place is no longer serving me. This person is no longer serving me as a creator of my reality. And so we all have to understand that we, as being here, as singular beings in one body and one mass, are here to create through our unique visions and our unique universe and our unique perspectives. And it's okay to have a little bit of selfishness, because it's who we are innately, and that is also create. And it's the infinite self, the infinite loop of your time here. And when you're not doing what you desire to do, when you're not living the life that you want to live, then you're going to come into a place of contemplation, of constipation, of a lack of collaboration, and more of competition, and it's gonna clog up your flow. It's going to create bursts of anger or bursts of emotion or bursts of things, because that drain is clogging out of that snake and it's forcing the momentum that has to go. And so if we live in flow with our changing desires, with our creations as we are creating, aware that it's okay to let go and move forward, we're in alignment with our desires now. We're in alignment with the consciousness of all of the collective, the human race, and all that is. And it's moving really fast right now. So I think it's time that we get out of our comfort zone and we move into the flow state, or the ability to accept the changes and understand, where am I at? Am I desiring to create that? Does that feel good? If it's not feeling good, then I need to evaluate it and definitely put my energy into what I desire, because that's probably going to help you stay in the flow of joy and love and fulfillment. And through that change, there'll be obstacles. There's going to be, the dark forces and the shadow work and all the same things going to happen to you, but you're going and moving through it and allowing it to be a challenge and allowing it to be part of your journey. So I don't think that there is anything that needs to be done forcefully. I think that if we are asking ourselves to stay doing something we don't believe in, or continue giving our energy to something that's not in the betterment of our planet or our heart's desires, then it's going to definitely start rotting, molding. It's going to start deteriorating and falling apart. It's going to get messy and you're going to lose interest in it. And it's going to be a lot of work to just keep tending to something that you don't want anymore. And if we look at our lives and we evaluate it and say, I'm not cleaning that, or I'm not doing that, or I'm not giving that person attention because I have no interest. Because why? Is that energy no longer where you're at? Are you moving out of something and it's just reminding you of where you were? And if you don't release it, you're going to get sucked back in through the flow state. You're going to get sucked back in, possibly into another route and direction that was, because you're experiencing it. So the infinite loop of our creations and our desires and our movement and the flow is going to go where we are. And we're going to stay in a loop, or we're going to create a new route, or we're going to experience another layer of ourselves based on our ability to believe in change and to desire change. And the equality of, again, the balance of the masculine and the feminine, the dark and the light. We are all masculine, feminine. We are all dark and light. We are all of those things. And the pieces of us that are in turmoil is always going to be fighting with the feminine aspects and the masculine aspects, your work or your intuitive. It's like, am I needing to step too far into my masculine because I'm in survival, because I need to create, because I need to survive? But I really want to be into the feminine, where I can wear a dress and spin around and be barefoot and sniff flowers. And, there's this beauty that is in the feminine that a man can also create. And there's the masculine in all of us that the woman can also create with. And that's the balance and the harmony of being here. And the mastery of self will feel so nice when we can figure that out. But where I'm feeling right now is that the masculine and the feminine are not quite comfortable. That neither parts are actually happy with things. And so if the masculine's needing the women to be more nurturing and to step into a role, and the women are needing the men to be more protective and caring, then we're going to ask for that, because we desire to have that balance and support from our counterparts, from the black and the white, so that we can move in order. We can move gracefully together. And that's just, again, in the flow. And if all the desire of creation starts with yourself, then you can start creating in that black and the white. You can start creating in that mastermind of acknowledging the dualities of self and having instant forgiveness. And so the main lesson that I've learned is that we create what we consume. And if the world is creating and placing that in front of you, and you didn't have part of that creation, and you're eating it and you don't like how it tastes, it's probably because you didn't create it yourself. It might be that you're eating somebody else's creation. It may be that you're not fully empowered with your own actions. And if you aren't creating what you desire, you're going to have to eat what somebody else cooked. You're going to have to consume what somebody else desired if you're not creating your own reality.